Hello there, welcome to Real Tales and Trails, where we entertain you with great and captivating stories. Pleased to have you listen to this podcast. We have awesome and amazing stories for you. So, let's begin.
From Grass to Glory, the power of dreams over circumstance. Have you ever heard the saying, your past doesn't define your future? Let me tell you a story about a young man named Tund who proved that truth in remarkable ways. Tund was born in a small village where the nearest school was a 2-hour walk, and electricity was a luxury his family could only dream of. His father was a struggling farmer, and his mother sold akra by the roadside. Education, though valued, wasn't easily accessible. Tund's parents believed in his potential, but their resources were limited. At age 10, Tund would wake up at 4 a.m. to help his father on the farm before heading to school barefoot. His uniform was hand-me-downs from older cousins, and his schoolbooks were shared. Still, he had a spark, a fierce determination to learn. Tund loved reading anything he could find. Sometimes, he'd borrow torn magazines and newspapers from a neighbor, reading by the dim light of a kerosene lamp. One day, a teacher noticed Tund's hunger for knowledge and encouraged him to enter a local essay competition. He was hesitant at first. What chance did a boy like him have? But the teacher insisted, and Tund poured his heart into that essay. To his amazement, he won first prize, a scholarship to attend secondary school in the nearby town. But life didn't suddenly get easier. In secondary school, he faced ridicule for his accent, his patched clothes, and his humble background. Still, Tund refused to be discouraged. He worked harder than anyone, often trading sleep for extra study hours. By the time he graduated, Tund had earned top marks and gained admission to a university on another scholarship. At university, Tund's resilience and ambition only grew. He juggled classes, part-time jobs, and volunteering, all while keeping his dream alive, to build a career in technology. Against all odds, he landed an internship at a tech company after graduation. He didn't have fancy gadgets or connections, but he had grit, curiosity, and the ability to learn fast. Fast forward 10 years, Tund is now the founder of a successful tech startup, mentoring young people from underserved communities. His story inspires them to believe that their circumstances don't define their future. People often ask how I made it, Tund shares during motivational talks. And I tell them, it wasn't magic or luck. It was determination, hard work, and the support of those who believed in me. Tund's journey reminds us that success isn't about where you start, it's about where you're willing to go. Your background might shape you, but it doesn't have to limit you. Dream big, work hard, and never let your circumstances dictate your potential. So, the next time you face doubt or feel stuck, remember Tund's story. The road may be long, but success is within reach if you dare to chase it. The broken shoes and the billionaire dream. Do you think you can ever amount to anything, looking like that? The stepmother asked. Tola froze. His heart sank as the man at the factory gate sneered at him. He looked down at his cracked shoes and faded shirt. It was his third job interview in 2 weeks, and rejection had become a familiar companion. But this time it hurt differently. The words stung, not because they were harsh, but because deep down, he was starting to believe them. Born in a dusty village, Tola's childhood was defined by survival. His father was a cobbler, barely making enough to feed their family of 6. His mother sold vegetables at the market, often giving him the ones too bruised to sell. Education wasn't a priority, and ambition was considered a luxury. But Tola had one thing, a restless determination to rise above his circumstances. His journey wasn't glamorous. At 15, he worked odd jobs to support his family while studying by the dim light of a kerosene lamp. He learned early that effort could outweigh privilege. If I can't afford better shoes, he told himself, I'll work until I can buy the factory that makes them. One day, after his humiliating rejection at the factory, Tola decided to act. He scraped together his savings and purchased a second-hand laptop. He had heard about online courses and believed that the internet could be his ticket out of poverty. With limited resources and no one to guide him, he taught himself graphic design. He worked tirelessly, completing small freelance gigs for clients who often underpaid him. Months turned into years, and Tola's skills grew. Soon, his work was being noticed by bigger clients. His portfolio expanded, and so did his confidence. He reinvested his earnings to learn web development, eventually landing contracts with international companies. The boy from the village with broken shoes was now designing for global brands. But success wasn't just about financial gain for Tola. He returned to his village to mentor young people, providing them with resources and training to dream beyond their environment. His story inspired many, proving that where you come from doesn't determine where you can go. Today, Tola is a billionaire entrepreneur, running one of the largest digital innovation hubs in Africa. At his office, he keeps a pair of worn-out shoes in a glass case. When asked why, he smiles and says, "This reminds me that greatness isn't about where you start, but how determined you are to keep walking." So, the next time someone doubts you because of your background, remember Tola. Success isn't about what's handed to you, it's about what you create with your own hands. Keep walking, no matter how cracked your shoes may be.
The roots don't define the tree. Let me tell you a story about a boy named Kelechi. He grew up in a small village where opportunities seemed as scarce as rainfall in the dry season. His parents were farmers who barely made enough to feed the family, let alone afford an education. Most people in the village believed that one's background determined their future. But Kelechi had a different idea. As a child, he was fascinated by books. Not that he had many, just a few tattered ones donated to the village school. He'd read them over and over, imagining worlds beyond the dusty roads and endless farmlands. "One day, I'll be more than what they say I can be," he often whispered to himself. One evening, while helping his father on the farm, Kelechi asked, "Papa, do you think I can become someone important?" His father sighed and said, "Son, it's hard to dream big when life keeps you small. But if anyone can, it's you." That small encouragement became Kelechi's fuel. He worked tirelessly, acing his classes despite the challenges. At night, he studied by the dim light of a kerosene lamp, his determination burning brighter than the flame. When he finished secondary school, his community rallied together to sponsor his university education, pooling resources to give their brightest hope a fighting chance. But university wasn't easy. Kelechi faced ridicule for his accent and simple background. While others flaunted expensive gadgets and stylish clothes, he had only his passion and resilience. One professor noticed his potential and became his mentor, introducing him to opportunities that expanded his worldview. After graduation, Kelechi secured a job at a top firm in the city. Over time, his work ethic and innovative ideas caught the attention of industry leaders. He climbed the corporate ladder, eventually starting his own company focused on providing opportunities to underprivileged communities. When asked about his success, Kelechi often said, "I'm proof that where you start doesn't determine where you end. Your background may shape your journey, but it doesn't have to limit your destination." Years later, he returned to his village, not as the boy who once tilled the soil but as a leader building schools, empowering youth, and creating jobs. His story became an anthem of hope, inspiring others to see beyond their circumstances. So, remember, your roots may ground you, but they don't define the heights you can reach. Success isn't about where you begin, it's about the determination, hard work, and belief you carry along the way. From shadows to spotlight, the tale of a rising star. "Do you think success has a blueprint?" a young man once asked his mentor. The mentor chuckled, "Success doesn't come with a fixed address. It finds those who chase it relentlessly, no matter where they begin." Let me tell you the story of Ada, who proved this truth. Ada was born in a remote village where opportunities were as scarce as running water. Her parents were subsistence farmers, barely making enough to keep the family afloat. The closest school was miles away, and Ada often studied under the dim glow of a kerosene lamp. But even in those humble beginnings, her dreams burned brighter than her reality. One day, her teacher gave a speech that changed her life. "Your background is not your destiny," he said. "Your determination is." Inspired, Ada began to take small, consistent steps toward her big dreams. Her first challenge was convincing her parents to let her attend a better school in the city. They hesitated. What if she failed? But Ada's passion was unyielding. She worked on the farm in the mornings and evenings to save for her expenses. By sheer willpower, she made it to the city. The city wasn't kind at first. Ada struggled with unfamiliar environments, competing with students who had better resources. She couldn't afford textbooks, so she borrowed them. She couldn't afford transportation, so she walked. But instead of focusing on what she lacked, she focused on what she could control, her effort. Soon, Ada became known for her grit. She didn't just study, she excelled. Her hard work earned her scholarships, allowing her to attend one of the country's top universities. Even there, she faced challenges. Others dismissed her as just a village girl. But Ada knew her worth. "Where I started doesn't define where I'll end," she reminded herself daily. After graduating with top honors, Ada faced her next hurdle, finding a job in a competitive market. She applied relentlessly, facing rejection after rejection. But instead of giving up, she treated every setback as a stepping stone. Finally, she landed an internship with a multinational company. Her relentless work ethic didn't go unnoticed, and within years, she rose through the ranks, eventually becoming the youngest regional director. Today, Ada speaks at global conferences. She's built schools in villages like the one she came from and mentors countless young people. Every time she shares her story, she emphasizes one point. Your background is merely your starting point, not your identity. Success doesn't care where you come from. It cares about how far you're willing to go. Ada's story is a reminder to us all. No matter how humble our beginnings, we hold the power to rewrite our destinies. So, ask yourself, what's stopping you from chasing your dreams? If Ada could rise from the shadows, so can you. Remember, it's not where you begin that defines you, it's where you decide to go.
Welcome back. Thank you for listening to our amazing stories. We hope you have learned and inspired by all the stories. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel at Real Tales and Trails. Thank you and see you in our next podcast.